Hi, and welcome to Audiobook Basics for Authors Part 3. Today I'm going to talk about finding a narrator. Now, in the last video we talked about how you're going to pay a narrator, up to you to determine your budget and how you're going to pay them if you're looking for a PFH or a royalty share or royalties deferred deal. Now we're going to talk about how to find a narrator to suit what you want. The easiest way to find a narrator is to listen to lots of audiobooks. Choose the narrator who you think is perfect for your book, look them up and hire them. Most narrators have their own websites, a lot of them have got Facebook groups. Almost all of them make it pretty easy to get in touch. Easy peasy, right? Except it rarely goes like that. That narrator you love might work exclusively for a specific publisher. Or they might only do big trad pub books. Or they might be booked up for the next 6 months and you need your audiobook completed on time for a simultaneous launch in 4 months' time. Or they might just be out of your price range. Or not do royalty share if you're looking for that sort of thing. Or, and this is an easy trap to fall into, they might look at your book and say, sorry, I don't do explicit sex scenes. A lot of narrators don't. Or they might do it, but under a pseudonym you didn't know they used, which probably means they won't carry over that fan base you were counting on as part of your marketing plan in order to be able to afford their rates. Eek, right? Okay, so now it's time for plan B. There are 2 real options here. First is use a narrator matching service, and secondly is do an audition call. Narrator matching services are provided by companies like Findaway Voices and Audiobooks Unleashed, and by pretty much all of the audiobook production companies out there. You tell them your budget and describe what you want. So you might say, I want a male, mid-US accented narrator who can do an Italian accent, for example. And they will either pick someone or present you with a shortlist to choose from. You will pay extra for this. Findaway Voices take a 30% commission, for example. Ask your production company what percentage they charge if you want to do something like this. If you're doing a multi-book series, you will almost certainly be better off approaching the narrator after you've done the first book and see if you can do a private deal without paying that commission, especially through Findaway Voices. 30% is a lot. Approach separately, see if you can get a discount for not going via the aggregator or distributor. However, if you are looking for duet or dual or multicast narration, using a production company is definitely the way to go. Okay. I've just realised that I did not define those terms in the previous videos. It didn't come up, so I'm just going to cover it quickly here. Right. Dual narration is usually a male and a female narrator working together and doing alternating point of view chapters. So if the chapter's from the heroine's point of view, the female narrator reads it, doing all of the character voices, male and female, and then the male narrator will take over for chapters from the male point of view, the hero's point of view. In duet narration, the person matching the point of view character will do the majority of that chapter, but the other narrator will chime in with lines from a person of the opposite gender. So the chapters from the heroine's point of view, your female narrator is going to do most of it, but any lines from a man, your male narrator will perform those, and they will be cut in. In multicast, one person will be the narrator, the storyline narrator, but every character who has lines of dialogue will be voiced by a different actor, like a play or a TV show or film. Every character is played by a unique actor. Sometimes one actor will take on some bit parts as well though, so you don't have an actor coming in to do 3 lines. It gets expensive if you do that. For duet, dual or multicast, expect to pay significantly more. And forget any kind of royalty share or royalty deferred deal. You are paying upfront, and you will pay engineering costs too, because these actors are all going to be in their home studios with different background noise and different microphones, and the engineer has to make them all match and sound like they're all in the same place at the same time. You will be paying $500 to $1,000 per finished hour if you want your audiobook recorded this way. And honestly, it's best left to a professional production company because it's quite an undertaking. The engineering is significant. There are a few husband and wife type teams out there who will answer audition calls for duet or dual narrators. Their rates are often around 400 PFH. That's a minimum. They can go up from there, just so you know. If you've got your heart set on this for your book, that's okay, but be prepared to pay for it. And be aware that most listeners don't care. I spend quite a bit of time in Facebook groups where keen audiobook listeners hang out and they talk about their favourite narrators. And I never see anyone who's like, oh, I'll listen to everything multicast that comes out. A lot of people are like, I don't actually like multicast. I like one person to tell me a story. Sometimes two. You sometimes get people who love narrator pairs, or they will say, I will love to hear this narrator performing with that narrator because they sound great together. But they're often just as happy with one person telling them the story. It can save you a lot of money if you don't set your heart on duet or dual or multicast. I don't necessarily think it's going to make you more money if you go that way. Okay. Let's get back to audition calls. Okay, assuming that you decided you aren't going to let somebody cast for you, you're going to do it yourself. You're going to be your own casting director. Audition calls can be done in two ways. Firstly, if you have access to ACX, remember, only if you are in the US, UK, Canada or Ireland, you can list the book for auditions there. You list it under RS, RS Plus or PFH, with the rate you're prepared to pay. Specify the qualities your narrator should have. Again, what gender you want, things like accents. And I believe you can specify dual or duet narration here. And narrators will submit auditions. If you have access to ACX, this is by far the easiest way to do things. And ACX will handle all the legalities of things like contracts and payments. But remember, if you are going RS or RS Plus, you are locked in to ACX exclusive distribution for the 7-year life of the contract. I believe that Audiobooks Unleashed plans to have a similar audition service up and running soon. But as of the time I'm recording this, which is August 2020, they don't have it yet. Keep your eyes open for that. It will be coming. I think it's actually going to be really good. They are quite narrator focused, whereas ACX are frankly money focused, money in business. Audiobooks Unleashed is run by a narrator. I think you'll get some really good narrators willing to work there. So, if you're not in an ACX country, Audiobooks Unleashed doesn't up yet maybe, can you still do an audition call? Absolutely you can, and I'm going to tell you how. You need to join some Facebook groups where narrators hang out. The biggest one I know about is called Indie, ACX and Others, Audiobook Producers and Narrators. This is an incredible group run by some of the top pros in the industry. If you have any questions about audiobooks, chances are it's already been asked and answered in this group probably many times. Use the search function, as the admins get very impatient with the same basic questions being asked a lot. They're liable to just turn off, say something in your comments like, use the search, turn off comments and even delete your post. Use the search function. Two other groups I'm going to suggest for audition calls are called Authors and Narrators Exchange and Narrators Roundup. I will put links to all three of these groups under the video. They're all pretty easy to get access to. You just answer the questions you'll be asked to answer when you join the group. Follow group rules, be polite, don't spam. Use the search function. you can absolutely put audition calls up in all of them. I've seen them done, I've seen them answered, I've seen people very happy with the narrators they've found there. I'm going to give you fair warning. Remember in the previous video where I said that the absolute minimum PFH you should consider offering is $125? If you offer less than that on an audition call, especially in the big indie group, you are going to get heckled at the very least. The admins in that group believe nobody should be undercutting union rates of $250 per hour. While they won't kick you out, and you will still get people auditioning, be prepared for some snarky comments if you do offer a low rate. You must put an offered rate on it though, otherwise you'll get a ton of comments asking what it is anyway. It is what it is. The higher rate you offer, the more auditions you're going to get, and the higher quality they should be. So be as specific as possible in your audition call to keep from getting overwhelmed. Okay, I'll give you the details of how to be specific here. And under the video, I'm going to put a suggested format for an audition call which you could use. If possible, link to your actual book if it's already published. If not, link to other books of yours so people can see what you write and they can use the Kindle preview, look inside, to see your writing style and if they like it. Especially if your pen name is different from your Facebook name. Be specific about what you're looking for. If you want a male voice with a native Australian accent who can do French and American accents, say that. If you want someone who can sound like Sebastian York, give that a try. And absolutely judge people if they don't read your instructions properly. File those auditions straight in the trash. You'll get enough that you don't need to bother with people who can't actually follow instructions. It's a good way to weed a few people out. If any of your principal characters are Black, Indigenous, or people of colour, or LGBTQ, I personally think you should look for an Own Voices narrator. Put it in your audition call. Your narrator will be a lot more passionate about the project if they identify with your protagonist. And that passion will show through in performance. Believe me. All right, what else do you need to say? You need to give the word count, the genre, especially if the book's not out yet, and the time frame in which you need it completed. This may cut out quite a lot of people if you need it done quickly. Something else I haven't mentioned in previous videos, but I'm going to note it here. Wait times to getting audiobooks through quality control and available on ACX are really long at the moment. At the start of the year, they were 7 to 14 days, and that had been standard for a long time. They blew out to around 30 days in March, and now they can be out to 60 days. If you are aiming for a simultaneous release launch, ebook, paperback, audio, all at the same time, you need to have your audiobook finished and fully uploaded for quality control 60 days before the launch date. And by the way, you can't upload your audiobook until you've got a pre-order or a book available on Amazon for your ebook or paperbook anyway. So 60 days before launch is the final date you need to have the completed product delivered by. If you don't have a date in mind because the ebook is already out and you just want it done as soon as possible, request that the narrator advise when they submit their audition of when they can schedule the work. This could be a deciding factor as you start to narrow down your candidate pool. And you may get a lot of auditions. If you're offering a good rate, $300 plus PFH, I would expect to get 50 plus auditions, even if you've been quite specific about what you want. So timeframes can help you narrow it down. For the audition itself, you need to create a script. I would suggest a Google Doc and put the link to view it in your Facebook audition call post. The script should be an extract from the book you want made into audio. I would recommend 800 to 1,000 words, which will be about 5 to 6 minutes when it's recorded. You want your main characters to all have dialogue in this section. If you're writing a romance, you might have a male and a female character. You want dialogue in between them. Ideally an emotional moment or a confrontation. Give your narrator a chance to show some emotion and expression. Give your narrator a thumbnail sketch of who appears in the scene. Don't make them guess at ages or accents or have to read through your 10% preview on Amazon to figure out your character's backstory. Don't make it hard for them. Tell them what you want and hope that they're going to deliver it. Lastly, you need to make it possible for the audition to get sent to you. You'll want an MP3 file. That's what you should expect to get delivered. If you create a Google form, which the narrator can fill in, you can make a place for a file where a file can be uploaded, or you could supply an email address at the bottom of the audition script. Totally up to you. Lastly, set a deadline for submissions to come in. When you post the audition call, I'd make it not more than 4 or 5 days. That's plenty of time for someone to rehearse and record a 5-minute audition, edit and master it, and send it through to you. If they're taking longer than that, I don't know that I would trust them on deliverability of timeframes, to be honest. 4 or 5 days is plenty of time. Once your auditions start coming in, take your time to not only listen to them, but go and do your research. Look up the narrators who have auditioned. Look them up on Audible. See how many audiobooks they've got to their name. Have they won any awards? Do they do much work in your genre? It's quite important. Google them. Find their website. Listen to their samples. Most narrators will have a demo reel or a SoundCloud. See if they've got a quoted rate on their website and if it matches up with the one that you posted in your audition. If you posted a $300 PFH rate and your narrator quotes a normal rate of $150, maybe they're being a bit cheeky. Maybe they're good enough, maybe they're perfect and you're happy to pay that. Maybe you can negotiate a bit less. It's worth trying. Do your due diligence, just like you would if you were going to work with a new editor or a new cover artist. Make sure this is someone you want to work with. Go into some of those Facebook groups where audiobook listeners hang out. Drop the name and see what people think. Do they like listening to that narrator? Do they find them annoying and whiny? Do they say, yes, I love them, but they cannot do a Scottish accent? If you're writing a Highlander romance, that's something you might want to think about. Okay. Once you have selected your narrator, you need to agree how much, when, and how they are going to get paid. Bearing in mind that you won't have an exact final figure until after the whole audiobook has been completed. Most narrators round up to the nearest minute. Anything at the beginning is an estimate based on word count. You can never be exactly accurate. I will usually say, I reckon it's going to be around 4 hours, around 4 and a quarter hours. I'll try and quote to the nearest quarter hour. I usually round up a little bit so that my rights holders are pleasantly surprised when their bill comes in a little bit lower than what they thought they were originally going to get. If you are paying PFH and doing this outside of ACX, and this is the most likely scenario if you're Australian like me, you should have some sort of contract arrangement. I have my own contract. You can see a sample of it on my website, which I ask authors to complete. I send files via a shared box.net folder, invoices via PayPal, and authors get a runtime sheet. I'll share an example of that with a link under the video too, where authors can see progress in terms of files completed and approve files as they are received and the author has done their final proof listen. The first time I work with an author, I ask for an estimated 25% payment up front to make sure they're not going to flake on me, basically. I know other narrators who ask for an estimated 50% up front. You need to discuss this with your narrator and agree before any work starts exactly how much they get paid and when, and agree exactly how and when the final files are going to be delivered to you and what time frames any edits need to be done in. And make sure you live up to your end of the bargain, especially if you want to work with them again. First time I work with an author, I won't contract for a series, just in case they turn out to be someone I'm like, I cannot work with this person. Don't be an author-zilla, basically. In the next video, I'm going to talk some about the process of actually working with the narrator, not just about the payments and the timeframes, actually doing the work with them to make the audiobook, and give you some do's and don'ts and pointers for a nice, smooth working relationship. Okay? I'll see you then.